Hi, I'm Steven with Futurelooks.com.
And I am Michael with Futurelooks.com.
And today we're going to be checking out something that we've wanted to check out for quite some time now. We've just been doing a long-term test on it, and it's called the ASUS Eee.
Yeah, this is the Eee Transformer. You may have also heard about the Eee slider. The difference is Eee Transformer, it functions as a tablet on its own, but there's also the optional keyboard dock, and that's the Transformer part of its name.
And this is on a 10.1-inch screen with a Tegra 2 dual-core processor running at 1 GHz as well. So that's pretty powerful right off the bat. So that's pretty impressive given the hardware that's inside this device. And speaking of hardware, even though this is pretty much standard fare for a Tegra 2 honeycomb tablet, the experience varies widely, doesn't it?
Yeah, like spec for spec, if you compare this to something like the Motorola Zoom, Galaxy Tab 10.1, that kind of thing, on paper, they're all going to sound very similar. They all have the same Tegra 2 processor, they all have 1 gig of RAM, they all run on honeycomb. But the user experience here is quite different because you do have the extra ports, you do have the keyboard dock, you have the extra long battery. Build quality is great, you get this premium fit finish on the back. You don't get that cheap plastic feel that you get with some of the other tablets that are in the same price range. And it's also, when it launched, it was $100 cheaper than anything else that seemed similarly spec'd.
And the other thing too is that at launch, and although this has been superseded by the update to Honeycomb to 3.2, which this is running right now, at launch, this was one of the few devices that actually had USB support right out of the box using the keyboard.
Yeah, so then you do have the USB port on the side here, and you're able to put in flash drives, hard drives, that kind of thing, if you want to be able to load your media, watch your videos. And there is a true file manager built into the tablet itself. So any kind of documents, PDFs, video files, it's almost like on your computer where you're able to copy and paste your various files from into the hard drive into the tablet.
Now let's talk about performance a little bit. Day-to-day use, I found that, like the tablets, when they first came out, I thought that it'd be useful. I thought they'd be useful in the kitchen, maybe in the bathroom, and various other places that I would actually want to consume content rather than write it. And sure enough, that actually became exactly what had happened. When I was using this device on a day-to-day basis, I found myself more often than not, instead of reaching for my smartphone, I would reach for this because it was easier to read, it's larger screen, makes it more comfortable, and I was using it in places like the kitchen for recipes. I was using it at the coffee shop when I didn't want to bring my notebook, and also I was bringing it to the bathroom as well too because I enjoy I enjoy my reading there. Yeah. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, for my part, it is exactly that kind of in-between device. Like the smartphone is great for the portability, but where I found myself using it the most is I kind of leave it on my bedside table. And when I wake up in the morning and I'm too lazy to go over to the office to turn on the computer and wait for it to boot and all that kind of thing, instant boot, I always leave on sleep mode. I check my email before I even get out of bed, and having the larger screen, again, going back to having the keyboard dock, being able to reply to emails really quickly is a much better user experience than what I would have on my smartphone, and I don't have to wait for the laptop to boot up or anything like that. So it is the in-between device, and I thought that was really going to be its biggest detriment, but it really is its biggest strength.
Now gaming was also a lot of fun. I mean, we've recently discovered Fruit Ninja. And that's been a really fun game on the iOS platform, and I guess you're also looking forward to Uncle Slam coming out as well too for the Android platform.
They say that they're working on it. Actually, one game that I started to enjoy quite a bit is Air Attack HD. That's probably not going to show up very well, but basically it's the airplane game, shooting game. So if you were familiar with 1942, 1943, those kind of games, the only thing is that the plane itself is on auto fire, and you just kind of move it around and it shoots stuff, and that's utterly fantastic. It's one of these casual games, has a retro feel with the higher res graphics, and it's just a lot of fun to just play when you're just lounging in the living room or in the bedroom or whatever.
And of course, if there are no creative options out there, you can always stick with Angry Birds.
Oh, there's always Angry Birds. Angry Birds Rio, Angry Birds Seasons.
Angry Birds Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Now, as far as battery life goes, I actually noticed that this thing, like because I play games and everything, and I'm using it probably more or less all the time, on and off, I'm finding that, about 8 hours from the 9.5-hour battery life stock isn't bad at all. Like I'm getting a full day use out of it before I need to charge, and of course with the keyboard, you actually double that up. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I used it not so heavily. I didn't do as much gaming and that kind of thing on it. It was more email checking, watching a few YouTube videos, browsing a few websites, which is probably more typical of what a lot of people would be using this for. And I get a solid day out of this, if not more, without needing to charge it. When I put in the keyboard dock, it gets up to like 3 days. So it really depends on how much you use it. So the battery life will range considerably, but if you get at least, you know, a solid work day out of it, that's more than enough, because that's what you would get out of a smartphone anyway.
And even though the battery life is really awesome, the performance is actually really good. Everything was responsive. None of the apps actually had any issues unless they were kind of written incorrectly or something like that. Even then, in the Android platform, the updates come pretty fast and furious for some of these front-running devices.
Yeah, like the user experience for the most part, performance was quite good. The only thing is that if you're coming from the iPad, the smoothness of swiping between the different home screens, it's not quite as fast as an iPad, but it's not so slow that it's going to piss you off, right? Because then it's smooth enough that you're able to do everything that you need to do, and it's not more than a couple milliseconds extra.
And it's also substantially cheaper too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially, like you mentioned, with the micro SD slot, with the USB slot, having that expandable storage, you don't really need to pay for the higher models, the 32 gig and the 64 gig. Get the base model. If you need more storage, buy cheap micro SD cards and you're golden. If you were to buy them separately, right now the 16 gig ePad on its own is $399, and the keyboard dock on its own is about $149. So if you were to buy them separately, you'd be spending about $550. There's a lot of online and brick and mortar stores that are selling them as a combo unit. Some of them are even bundling with a micro SD card, so you have the expandable storage also. And there's substantial savings there. I do really recommend that if you do get the ePad transformer, definitely get the keyboard dock. It sounds kind of silly to spend $100 on just a keyboard, but it's so much more than just a keyboard. The extra battery.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. It definitely made the device a lot more versatile. When I'm not consuming, I'm creating, and that definitely helped out with that.
Yeah.
So what kind of rating would you give the ASUS ePad transformer right now?
Right now, I would give the ASUS ePad transformer a 9 out of 10. However, knowing that there are the new Tegra 3 processor just around the corner, if you want to wait that out, those might be a little bit more expensive, but performance will definitely be better. But in terms of Android tablets that are available right now, this is a 9 out of 10 for me.
For me, because this is probably one of the best value in Android tablets today because of all the expandability and the fact that if you're planning on picking one up right now, there are a lot of promotions out there. You're going to pay a lot less than I did because I actually got mine right when it came out, probably about a couple weeks after it came out in Canada. I've been really enjoying it. Performance is not an issue. Battery life has not been an issue. And right now, I would probably give this also a 9.5 out of 10 and probably give it my Editor's Choice Award because this is definitely one of my favorite tablets, my favorite gadgets right this minute.
Make sure you check out the rest of the stuff that we have going on the site, futurelooks.com. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, fan us on Facebook. We're all over the place, so make sure you stay tuned. We're always going to have a lot of great stuff for you to check out.
I'm Steven with Futurelooks, and this is Michael. We'll see you again really soon.